story just is we wanted to work with him for a long time, and he wanted to do a deal with us for the World Series. He wanted to surprise his best friend with tickets. And when I sent him over the talking points, he said, not going to do it. And that is like, if you're a marketer, it's like this weird position because on one hand, you have the great white buffalo. On the other hand, you are really scared because you're spending a lot of money and relatively a lot of money to sponsor someone, and you really don't want to go back to your boss and say, yeah, we did it, but it didn't work, or it didn't hit as much as we needed it to. And so that is why I was definitely in this nervous situation, but David kind of related it to, I think this is what we miss and what people don't get is, he said it's about the community, not really about your brand. And so that's how I view influencer marketing now, is it's between, you have a community of followers, and that's what the brand is trying to tap into, that link between you and your community. And the minute a brand starts to articulate the minute you start articulating exactly how you want an influencer to talk to their audience, I think one, it's a little bit arrogant, assuming that like I know how to talk to your audience better than you can. And two, you're losing the entire authenticity, the entire purpose of doing it. So I think that's kind of what we learned out of David, and now we really try to lay into influencers' creativity.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like what I found the most unique about SeatGeek's approach, because in the tech space, there's a lot of campaigns, and I would say almost all of them are in a situation where you're given a whole PDF of like, you have to cover this certain spec, and then you're kind of trying to explain like, well, nobody really cares about the spec. They care about like this instead, or how it's used. And a lot of times there's always like that layer of pushback where the representative in the company would say, well, yeah, I agree with that, but somebody is telling me that this has to be done if we're going to be spending this kind of money, kind of thing. So I think that was very unique. And I actually was someone who started watching David a little bit later. I met him at Playlist and VidCon a few times at like the different parties and stuff, and I noticed that everybody was like, oh, they want to see David. So I went back home and I watched all the videos. I think it must have been 300 vlogs to catch up on, and I noticed like, yeah, like SeatGeek became like a character within the video. It wasn't just like an ad. It was a new character, and every time people knew like, oh, like, well, we want to surprise somebody with this and that, we knew SeatGeek was going to be a part of that. What do you think is like the biggest misconception of influencer marketing that you've seen? I know there's been like some articles out there and like people attacking this type of tactic, but a lot of times like numbers can speak for themselves. Or what's like the biggest misconception that you see like often floating around?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest misconception is people really, they don't understand kind of what they're buying or what brands who are doing influencers are actually buying. So they see, like, we'll take David, for example. So if David costs a lot of money to work with, and they hear the numbers that it costs to do influencer marketing, and they think of it only in like this weird PR communication brand world where like you're not actually driving business results. You're just like promotion. And the problem with that is you really lose touch with kind of like what you're actually buying. So for David, or for any influencer, you're buying a creative agency, an actor, production, creative strategy, distribution, all in one price. And I think that's a big misconception is everyone gets caught up with influencer marketing, Instagram, how much, Kim Kardashian gets per Instagram post, and they think of it in just that vein, and they don't really think of it as this is a channel that right now can break through the clutter unlike any other channel.